Welcome to the richness of our lives. I'm Mary Scott, and this is where we celebrate the wisdom, courage, and stories that shape us. Every 2 weeks, I sit down with entrepreneurs, coaches, and remarkable people who've walked through fire and come out transformed. This isn't just about success, it's about the richness of the human experience. So grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's dive deep. Welcome to the Richness of Our Lives podcast. I'm your host, Mary Scott, and thanks for listening today. Today, my guest comes from the UK. It's a real pleasure to have her here. She is a dyslexic entrepreneur, an international best-selling author. She is also an international speaker. And not only that, she is the founder of Leadership Through Data. Please welcome Jacqueline Stockwell. Jackie, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, up nice, bright and early on a foggy UK morning, but I'm wonderful. And thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure, exactly. And dyslexic entrepreneur. I've never seen anyone use that. What a great term. Tell us all about that.
Thank you. I'm very proud to be dyslexic. I think my neurodivergent brain is amazingly wonderful, and why shouldn't we shout about it? So one of the key things that I want to do is, be open and say, hey, I'm dyslexic. This is me right at the outset. I also put the dyslexic entrepreneur in there because I was a successful award winner for the Dyslexic Entrepreneur Awards in the UK a couple of years ago. And that kind of like softly kind of went into my introductory elevator pitch.
Oh, that's fabulous. And how many doors has that opened for you, considering that even now people are not open about dyslexia?
I think for my followers and the community that I work with, it's very much inspired them to think, well, hey, I'm dyslexic or I have a neurodivergent brain, and think, well, why can't I be proud of that? Or why can't I start looking at the strengths of those skills? I think in pictures, I think in you give me an idea and I'm already at the end. It's created, it's beautiful. It's like having an elephant under a tree with its family and the trees and the bushes and all the grass is there. Whereas, that's how I think big picture, all the detail is there. Whereas other people on the journey just take one step. So to build that elephant and that kind of picture. And I really like the fact of the way that my brain functions, but it's taken me a while. School was a challenge for me. Uh, I went to university and did a master's. That was a challenge for me. I probably wasn't as proud as I am now about being dyslexic. I've definitely found the benefits of being dyslexic, being running my own business and being able to be my authentic self.
Absolutely. And I think the mere fact that you mention it up front, it's on your LinkedIn profile, I think it gives other people permission. That's the first thing that struck me about it. Other people permission to be themselves and show themselves.
Mm.
And I think that's a lovely thing if we can make our mark in that respect. That's just fabulous. Now, you've had a very interesting life. There's some aspects of your life that have been a bit curved, should we say, but at the same time, I call them growth spurts when I talk about my life. Oh, I've had a few growth spurts. Would you like to share any significant ones that you've gone through?
I love that terminology, growth spurts. I think like when I used to do growth spurts, as you said, I used to change job roles. So every 2 years, I used to want to find something different, a new challenge. I very much like to be the problem solver. So I'd go in, fix the problems, and then be kind of bored really, and then want to move on to something else. Running my own business is very much the same thing. So I worked for the National Health Service. I was an information governance manager. I just did short of 8 years, and as I said, I moved every 2 years. And then I had my daughter. Now she apple of my eye. So I went on maternity leave. The organisation merged with another, and I thought, now's the time. Now's the time to move and do something different. I did find the National Health Service quite rigid, and I wasn't as I couldn't be my full authentic self. So I left and then set up leadership through data. Now, one of the big turning points, which kind of links to the first question you asked me about dyslexia, was I researched how people learning styles, used my neurodivergent brain to present something different. In the UK, we have several courses, and all those courses are legal bound. And I've been on these courses, and like about 9:30, I was brain dead. Too much information. When's the next coffee break? So I wanted to make sure that I created something that was useful for everybody, really, who could come along. So created leadership through data, very pictorial thinking, no death by PowerPoint, gamification, practical hands-on. The brain processes images a lot quicker than text, and it helps with memory recall as well. So they're kind of the unique styles, and that was definitely the changing point for me. The fear factor of that growth spurt was to put something on the market that nobody nobody had seen before, and believing myself. And the growth spurts and the belief in myself have definitely grown over the last, say, 9, 10 years, because there's no one else. You have to believe in yourself as you're an entrepreneur. It's your ideas, your risk, your growth, and your belief, and they're the things that kind of drive me forward.
I think, gosh, so much there, isn't there? Self-belief. And I meet so many people that are struggling with self-doubt, and to move them screaming and being stuck there to self-trust is always a big one. And what I've found is that action is the thing that helps you to move into self-trust and have the confidence to do things. And that's already, I'm seeing that you're a big action taker. And I can see why you'd get bored very quickly. You just want to get on with it and do it. And I've done some research on that, and there's not many people. I think it's about 30%. How do you get stats on that anyway? But from what I've seen, it's about 30% of us, I'm saying us because I'm an action taker, are people that take action. But it's mostly one of those cycles that people struggle to get into. And let's just look at this. I can think about things till the cows come home, can't I? But then I can feel how good it would be, and all of those things we can just sit and do nothing and stay stuck. But we've actually got to get ourselves up off our butts and do it. And so I really acknowledge you. You've really got up and done something with your books, and now this company. There's a whole range of things that shows me you're an action taker. That was a bit long-winded, but what's your take on what I'm saying about that?
I think having a statistics 30% is amazing, actually. I think there's a really good thing. Most of the people that I work with, they're like, "Oh, you've written a book." Yep, written a book. Oh, I could be inspired to write a book. And I think because they know somebody that's taken that step, and they've gone through that journey, there's more trusted space, I think. One of the big things that I'm very, very keen on is to say to people, it's just like moving upstairs. You have to take that one step, and then you then take another step. So there's small steps until you get to the top of the stairs. And I think it's really important just to take that first step. As you said, once you've taken one step, it can build confidence. If you think back to when I left the National Health Service, the big thing for me was I had 12 months, I had my daughter, I had a mortgage, I had things to pay out for, but the worst thing that could have happened is it didn't work and I went back to paid employment. And that's where I'd kind of worked out that actually what's the worst that could happen to me if I did this. And that was the exit goal if it didn't work. And 9 years later, I'm still running the business, and now it's a global enterprise. And every 2 years, I want to open a new business in a different country. So I didn't do that. So, but I wrote a book. So we'll just see what happens next. I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Once I've taken that step, probably about mid-step, I'm thinking, oh my God, what have I done? And then sort of rationalize in my head saying, well, actually, look how far I've come. I've taken these 5 steps. I've got a few more to go to get there. And I think my personal growth has definitely grown with the business. My confidence has grown with the business, and each step that I take continues to grow. And yeah, it's just a wonderful life, really, now.
That's just lovely.
Still more to achieve, but
How many staff have you got, Jackie? What's that look like?
so we have 6, and then we have some associates around the world. Numbers, I think we've got 20 associates around the world that deliver some of our programs. And then we've got 6 core head staff members now in the UK. So we've done a lot of business transformation over the last year. It's been tough times with business, and it still is tough times. So we've done a lot of work around the Empower program that links to the international bestseller Blooming Good Information Management to make it more of a one-to-many service, but doesn't break the unique selling point of the business, which is that interactive, participatory discussion base that we run our courses on.
Wow. So transformation, what does that look like in a year?
It looks like I have less hair. It looks like uh, transformation. I mean, it's been such a journey where I thought that I was doing great in business. You need to make sure that your strengths and weaknesses are weighed with other people that have. So my weakness is I'm not great at managing a team, but I'm great at leading a team. So having an acknowledgement of that. So I'm big picture thinking, this is our strategy, this is our growth. When it comes down to sort of like the management aspect of it, sort of like annual leave and transcribing one-to-ones and all that stuff. That's kind of not me. So it's not making sure that you offset my weaknesses with someone else's strengths. It's been really good to have an independent look outside the business to see where our kind of weak points are and just focus more on, okay, we just need to transition this or we need to change this. One of the biggest things I think has been change. So as a small business, I feel like we're in constant change because we are driving forward, keeping up to keep transitioning the business so it still continues to deliver what it needs to deliver. So we've got new online learning programs now, so Empower, which is super exciting. And I think about that and my book, and I think, oh, that came out of my dyslexic brain. Like, how did I get a framework? And how did I do that? And that's the reflection when I talk about the steps. Is that you hit number 5. Certainly with my book, you can see behind me is wow, 12 steps. Like, how did I get there? And
Yeah.
then that's my ADHD that comes in because I wrote the book in 3 months. So thanks for my superpower in that and my, get it done. And then because I was in ADHD hyper focus, I've kind of forgotten what that was at that point. And then I'm like, oh wow, like 12 steps is all shiny and rosies. But yeah, no.
That's really cool. I love that. And you light up. This is clearly your purpose in life. And let me ask you, you made that differentiation from being the leader. What does leadership mean to you?
So leadership for me is vision, strategy, motivation, inspiration, and sort of like, driving the team and supporting them, but it's actually the sort of process based. So, and I just kind of want to give you a story about that. We focus quite a bit within our team around the color profiles, so the disc framework.
Yep.
And they have like, so, and I like the color one because I'm very, very colorful person. So you got red, yellow, green, and blue. And my profile, when you look at process, which would be blue, so very analytical, very sort of process driven, is like 3%. And that's kind of what comes out. Whereas my inspiration, my energy is like, which is yellow, which was 86%. And then my red, so my dominant side, which is my role, so I can be quite direct, but softly direct. So radical, like there's an amazing book called Radical Candor about it. So I try to be sort of politely direct. Most of the time I get it right, but sometimes I don't. And that's about 56%. And then my green side, I love eco, eco and environmental, but that's not what that's about. And that's the people pleasing. That's the softer side. That more comes out in my personal life. So I'm more green. And then we did it all with the team, the rest of the team. And it's really interesting to know strengths and weaknesses. So as a leader, you can know, well, how can I communicate with this team member, or how can I get the best outcome of those? And I think having done that, that really opened my perspective from a leadership perspective, that actually what do I need to do to get the best out of my team?
I think that's great, and I haven't visited the disc profile for ages. Probably when I get off this call, I will again. But I love it because it is all about people working from their strengths and then getting the right mix of people where everyone is working to their strengths, everyone's in their flow, which is what you're talking about. Because let's
Mm,
face it, we want to have fun. We have fun by doing what we love. And clearly, I can see, as I said before, you light up. And I think, given the times that we're in, leadership couldn't be more important than it is.
mm.
And I think, particularly yourself, female leadership is really a potent thing at the moment that we need so much more of. What's your thinking about all that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, women can be underestimated sometimes, overlooked. Prime example, I've been waiting for an electrician to come out to do my electrician since December, and every time I text and call, they just don't turn up. And I think it's that perceived that, oh, it's all right, she's a woman, yeah, she can wait a bit longer. I do see some of that in our industry. So we're in the information management industry. It's very sort of male dominated. Yeah, there's my neurodivergent brain there thinking I can't get the right word. And I've had that quite succinctly through the time of the business. So I was very much like a headscarf person and a trainee. So I wanted to be confident and comfortable, and having those big conversations in my job title with other gentlemen, that's been a challenge because obviously I wasn't dressed appropriately, or in their kind of view. I've also had gentlemen that have said that my successes have come from my father, which was very unique because if you read my book, my dad worked for Ford Motor Company, so we're in like polar opposite ends of what we do as a business. So I think, there's much more drive in the tech industry for women to be, empowered, be who they need to be, and actually be listened to. I think there's some shift, but it needs more work, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, my gosh. So when you look at your life thus far, 'cause you're still a young person, has there been any significant moments where there was like a line in the sand where things looked like this and then they looked like that have shaped your life?
I think the defining moment, well, having my daughter was very much a defining moment. I wanted to be a mum that she could be proud of and say, well, I've achieved this in my life. One of the things that I'm very passionate about is just, try anything if you like it, carry on with it. That would be the defining moment. I didn't want to be in a job that I didn't like. I just went for the money. Kind of, for me, is a bit soul sucking. You spend most of your life in a job, in work, so you should love your work. So I think that was kind of the biggest things for me, having my daughter. And now she's phenomenal, really. She's 9, and yeah, she's just epically amazing. So that's one of the life-changing things for me.
Yeah, that's absolutely lovely. You said the apple of your eye. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Mm.
And I think there's a point when I watch mothers and daughters, you think, who's the role model here? You know? And here are you, I would think an amazing role model for her. But here she is at 9, and you're saying all these things about her. So there'll be things that you're learning, she's learning, and it seems like a shared arena in terms of who's modeling to who. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I think so. So obviously, I have ADHD as well. So we've had some life changes recently. So I've been learning more about that. And I'm seeing some of the traits in her, and it's just having that open conversation about, oh, mummy's feeling a bit chaotic right now, or my brain is, very heavy loaded. We need to run around and scream and, have fun and kind of release that dopamine hit, which is we're pretty good at doing. We have recently gone into a mum and daughter adventure. So we brought a pony
Oh,
around
wow.
February time. She's a keen horse rider. She swims for 7 hours each week. So I used to be a swimmer. So she's very passionate about swimming. So when she started swimming, and we're having conversations like, are you swimming for mummy or are you swimming for yourself? Because I want it to be more about yourself than you're swimming for mummy. And then it was kind of like a 50-50. And I was like, nah. And then it's progressively got, oh yeah, I swim for myself now. And I'm like, great. So she absolutely adores swimming, which is amazing. And then we bought the pony, and now it's kind of a mum and daughter adventure. It's taken those steps again. Never had a pony before, got a pony, totally green in Ponyland. The pony was green, we were green, hadn't got a clue. So we've had to have some support in getting him to where he is. Like now he's just phenomenally amazing. He still needs to learn, but like feed, stable maintenance, like looking after him. Like he was a bit, he gets grumpy when he's hungry. So do we all. Me and my daughter, we get grumpy when we're hungry, but he's like a 400 kilo hungry horse, so we've had to kind of manage his food mannerisms around that way. So we've just been on this amazing, beautiful mum-daughter journey together, and we've kind of looked back, and I was like, "Oh, remember at the start?" And she was like, "Yeah, we didn't know anything, and it was really stressful." And I was like, "Okay, you didn't even tell me it was stressful," but I felt it was stressful, and I'm thinking, "Oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing." Cried a lot, and then kind of picked myself up. So for us, it's so nice to have this journey together, and she's just thriving. She rides 5 days a week now. They've got a bond, and I was at a LinkedIn post the other day that he was lying down in the stable, and I went in and sat next to him. And as a horse owner, people who, if you're not a horse owner, that's a really big thing. That means they completely trust you because they're vulnerable with lying down. So it's just kind of those little unique moments that you think, yeah, nice. I've done that.
Yeah,
That's
that's
solid. That's awesome.
yes, and you're no stranger to vertical learning curves, are you?
Tell me about that vertical. So I know about the learning curve, but not a
Well,
vertical
this
curve.
one that goes up and up. You get a you said pony, and I went to, oh. a pony, a little pony. And then you go on to describe the horse that you've got, and then not knowing anything. I've had quite a lot to do with horses over the years, and one of my clients is crazy, passionate dressage person, so I've learnt a lot.
Nice.
So I know there's a lot you need to learn. So I was thinking it was a bit vertical, and here the two of you are managing that. And retrospectively, she says it was a bit stressful. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. She was just like, Mummy, we didn't know what we were doing. I'm like, yeah, I didn't know what we were doing. It's I just think it just comes from a 9-year-old. You just think, yeah, yeah, voice saying that now because we know what we're doing now. And even though the livery that we're at, they're all saying, oh, you're coming a proper equestrian. I'm like, yep, thanks for that. I'm happy with that. And then something else happens, like sweet itch might be a thing at the minute. And I'm like, what is that? So it kind of takes you back down to the, okay, I was feeling confident and comfortable, and now I'm kind of learning. And then I think, yeah, I'll go back up to the expert in a minute. And that's my learning curve because you start here as an expert, you move down, and as you're learning, you're confident and uncomfortable. If you're too anxious or, overwhelmed and stressed, you won't learn anything. So you kind of need to stop. And then as you move through the journey, you go up to the top and then you become the expert. And then when you hit the expert, you sit in your comfort zone and then you move back to the start of it, and then you have to kind of do the same thing again. So when you talk about learning horizontal, I'm learning the learning curve way.
Yeah.
But yeah, every day is amazing when it comes to pony, and for my mental health as well, and definitely for my ADHD, getting up out in the fresh air, just being around living animals, and I don't know if I can swear on here, but shoveling shit every morning has a sense of well-being and groundedness.
All these visuals that are coming to me, shoveling shit and all these things. It takes me back, and it's delightful. And I was thinking when you're describing, and thanks for that lesson, if you like. That's how business is, isn't it?
Hmm.
We're doing well, we're right up there, and then bang.
Bam.
What happened? Does anyone know what happened? And like I said, another growth spurt is upon us before we know it. And what's your experience? Do you recover well, or do you take a bit of time to pick up? Because if you left jobs for every 2 years and here you are in nearly 10 years, that's quite a diverse thing, isn't it? So things have
Mm.
changed in your world, right?
Things are changing in my world. So the business morphs. So I've found it the business has morphed. So when we first started, we were just focusing on public training, and then we kind of reached into in-house training, and then we went into Microsoft 365 training for information managers, records managers. So as the business has progressed, the course line has progressed. So my unique brain, at the start, I was creating all the courses, the content, very much putting it into our USP, so the pictorial gamification and the group discussion. And then COVID hit. We thrived actually, which was amazing. But just before COVID hit, we were doing face-to-face courses, so like in London, Manchester, and we weren't getting the numbers on each of the course. So because you've booked the room, you'd still have to go ahead. And I thought to myself, well, why don't we just offer a no refund, and we'll just push it to virtual learning. At the time, we were starting to use Teams. So before COVID hit, we'd run 3, I think, virtually. And then COVID hit, and we were the first company to be like, yeah, great, we're here, get online, get on Teams. So it was insanely good at that point. And then that then took us to Australasia. So yeah, ADHD brain decides to, yeah, take on a business the other side of the world when I can't travel there. And that's, working with amazing partners. So we got Rimper Global, who we work with, and then Algum in New Zealand. Having met them, definitely expanded my reach and also my friends and connections. And then we've kind of come back, and then I'm like, oh, hey, well, let's hit the US. And then we hit the US. So we've been in the US hmm, about 4 years now. And then I decided to write a book. So there's definitely been every 2 years some big kind of milestones in what I do. I have now got a team that say to me, right, great idea, Jackie. Let's plan for that now. Whereas before it's, yeah, let's do it. Yeah, it's gonna how we do it. It's like new ideas. Because that's just how my brain works. And they're like, I love your new ideas. But oh my God, your new ideas. So that's kind of how we've evolved, and more over the last few years, it's been about my personal growth. And one of the big things to write a book. I'm dyslexic and write a book, and I was really happy. Drafted the book, as I said, 90 days. I was working with a program for business growth. Thought, yep, do the book. And then I was sent it out to readers. Yeah, I got some really good feedback, some really good tips. So I made some changes. As soon as it hit Amazon, I was, oh my God, terrified. I was like, what
Really?
have I done? People are going to hate it. And so I talk about the stairs. I'm on that fifth stairs going, yeah, this is how far I've come. And my friend was like, well, it's on Amazon now. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. Like it'd been
Oh, that's
published. And
right.
she was just like, well, what's the worst that could happen now? It's gone. Like, why are you worried about it now? Yeah, I think,
Yes.
and as we've gone through, the business has grown, it's morphed, we've changed, we've, tried to restructure things and focus more on, you know, e-learning kind of platforms, or, one to many, which is very much where we're focusing now. So you can just kind of see how it's changed every 2 years. So although I've been in 10 years, the business has changed significantly in those 10 years.
And when's the next 2 years up? Exactly.
I don't know. I just want to sit and lie down with my pony right now.
I can't ever imagine that, and you make a lot of reference to your brain, how it works. There's got to be heaps of advantages, though, with that level of action and enormous clarity at a bigger level. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think definitely from because I inspire, motivate, and educate information leaders across the world. And that's very much what my brain is doing, and that's very much my ethos. I want to help other people, and I get a lot of satisfaction from that. And my brain is wonderfully unique. It comes up with loads of ideas. It does loads of things. And I think kind of we've got the Empower framework, so there might be 7 more books that come out of that. I don't know yet. But at the moment, I just want to lie down with my pony and kind of enjoy what I've achieved. And I think that's the biggest thing for me is it's not what's next. It's, wow, look what I've achieved, and just kind of, reflect back on, wow, I've gone from a dark, damp, dingy records library to an international best-selling author that's got an amazing business reputation, and amazing friends, connections across the world, and a beautiful daughter on a pony.
That's well, it's quite well. We'll finish it there. It's quite complete. But I don't know when you've had a lay down, you've had time to go. Oh, isn't this awesome? I imagine there's something bigger and way more expanded for you, Jackie. What do you?
Yeah, 100%. I've got some things in my, sight line, which are things that I kind of want to achieve. Yeah, and as I said, more books. I think, I'd like to do some TV show or something. Great ideas. One of the biggest things for me is that everyone's talking about AI, and how wonderful it is, but no one's actually talking about the information underneath it. So that's what we do. So if you use AI and you've got old, outdated biased information, that's just what it's going to chuck out.
Hmm.
And everyone's saying, oh, AI, yeah, AI, but actually what's underneath it? And that's kind of where we sit. And I think the government and I think a lot of the organizations should actually start saying, pick up. You see some of the big influencers on LinkedIn talking about AI and all the top end of it, but no one's actually talking about what AI is running off, and that's the information.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what an enormous opportunity to be influencing at that level. Think about that. Phew.
Hmm.
And
It'll
I
be
think,
good.
wow, you're beautifully poised, aren't you? If
Yeah, I sent my book to the king as well, and I was like, yeah, read my book, help me out.
you
Uh,
did, you did send your book. Is that what you
I
did?
did send my book. Yeah, I sent my book to the king, and I got a letter back. So that was kind of exciting, and I've written to a couple of MPs, and you know, I really think something has to be done because everyone's excited about AI. And if I did a podcast the other day, and for every 5 AI prompts you do, it generates one whole glass of water. So it's about using AI sort of more thoughtfully.
Mm.
But how much information does organization? I mean, you think organizations can hold tons of information?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I know what you mean. And for me, just a little add-on, I think AI is fabulous. And I think you have to be discerning how you use it. You have to be mindful, thoughtful, and astute. So, all of those words. But for me, we need to be aware that the human to human contact is such a huge, huge part of our lives and that nourish us. And, where does love come into all this? And I know I'm digressing a little bit, but I think what you're saying is also we have this wealth of knowledge. Let's make sure and ensure that the right knowledge, if there's such a thing as right knowledge, gets disseminated in a way that everyone can make use of it.
Mm.
Mm. Well, look, you look so thoughtful in that moment. Is there any last things that you would like to share? I mean, you said before, I'll stop myself, that you're a colourful person. You are, but your energy's fabulous. You're out there. You want to put your stamp on things. Is there any last comments before we finish up today?
Be bold, be brave, and be beautiful. That's my sayings.
Oh, that's fabulous. I love it. Just say it again one more time to take us
Be
out.
bold, be bold, be brave, and be beautiful. And that's not being bold to be loud, that's just being bold to take those steps. It's being brave enough to take those steps. And it's being beautiful in yourself to be, knowing who you are and knowing what you want to achieve. And it, I just love my saying. That's kind of where I sit.
It's lovely. Jackie, thank you so much for your time and being a wonderful, wonderful guest. I look forward
Yep.
to speaking with you again.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for joining us on The Richness of Our Lives. If today's conversation stirred something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Connect with me on social media, leave a review, or share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And if you are ready to step into your own bold journey, join our vibrant Cheer Squad. We meet weekly for coaching and connection. Until next time, continue to embrace the richness of your life. I'm Mary Scott, and I'll see you in 2 weeks.